Welcome to Aspire to Retire. I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. I'm here with Ralph and Tim Shore, along with Scott Earhart, all from Welcome Home Financial Partners. As always, good to be here with you guys.
Good. Thanks for having us.
So our show today is how to have a recession-proof retirement, safeguarding your financial future. So how do you create secure income streams for your golden years? Well, we will discuss innovative ways to create multiple income streams, ensuring financial stability and growth. Our show today is aimed at helping retirees and future retirees diversify their income sources for a stable and prosperous retirement, securing your financial future. That's what we all want, right? So you've all heard about diversification of your assets. Now, though, let's talk about diversifying your income. So, guys, what does it mean to diversify your retirement income streams, and why is that so crucial?
Well, what it means to have a diversified income plan in retirement is to have different sources, different instruments where you are drawing income from. Now, that's not just different asset classes or different types of investments, that's also different tax labeling of it. And the reason why it's so important is to ensure that you can get the income you want and the income you need, and then also limit the taxation you have to pay on that income.
So is that like having IRA, Roth IRA, annuities, things like that?
It could be, but the important thing is if you just rely on one thing for your income, what happens to that one thing if something's bad, right? So it's really elementary, but it's really simple, is you don't want to place everything into one spot and depend on that but so much. So, and I know we'll probably get to it, but you've got Social Security, you've got pensions, you've got other things.
Okay.
A lot of people now don't have pensions. Social Security is kind of up in the air. So you really got to make sure you're well prepared for retirement. But we always talk about diversification, and everybody thinks it's just about investment vehicles. It's not just about investment vehicles. When you're in retirement, it's about diversifying your income. Make sure you've got multiple streams coming in. If doomsday comes around, Social Security is going to go away or reduce benefit or whatever the case may be. Or if your pension, the company that you had the pension with goes belly up, and now it might not be guaranteed like you think it is. So there are things to take a look at there.
But think about it like this, Cheryl. If all you did was have to rely on Social Security as your only source of income, how's your retirement going to look like?
Uh-oh, that's very uncertain,
Is it going to be able to do the things that you want to do?
Probably not.
That's why you need to have different sources of income and different taxation of it.
Yeah, it's sad to say that a lot of people now, they rely on Social Security as much as they do because they were too busy spending money when they were working because they always kick the can down the road and they overspend, or they're keeping up with the Joneses and they're not doing the savings aspect too. You've got to make sure that you're saving while you're working, because if you're not going to save while you're working, you might only be reliant on Social Security, and God forbid something happens to Social Security like we all think it's going to happen. Then what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to go back to work? Probably not, because you're probably going to be 75, 80, 85 years old. Who wants to go back to work at that point in time?
No.
So at least to pay the bills. People want to, do something to spend their time. That's different.
I know, and we all say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll think about that later, and no, you can't. You got to put a little bit away and start now. Whatever you can do, I think, is so important. So, guys, how can diversifying income sources protect retirees against unforeseen financial challenges?
The more paychecks you have coming in, the better off you are, right? So like we talked about earlier, is that if you have all of your income coming out of one bucket and something happens to that bucket, then you probably won't be able to collect that income and you won't be able to live that lifestyle. So that's why you've got to have multiple streams of income to cover what you want to do in retirement and also what you have to do in retirement, and that's pay your bills. So it's very important to make sure that not everything is wrapped into one, because if something happens, then it might not be what you want it to do.
Yeah, and when you bring Social Security into this, I know you said it's like, maybe you can count on it, maybe you can't. So what are you supposed to do with Social Security then? How much are you supposed to plan for?
Well, what I would say is you need to have an estimate done through either the website or when you receive that statement back to you saying this is what you should expect, an estimate or whatever you want to call it. But the thing that I would say to you is you need to understand that if you take your Social Security benefit at age 62, it's going to be less than at your full retirement age. And that depends on when you were born. It's what that age is. But the other thing that we always bring up to our clients is this. If you're going to work from 62 to your full retirement age, why would you want to give your Social Security check back to the government because you're making more money than you need to if you start taking 62? So you need to be prepared for answer those questions when we sit down and talk with you. Would you agree?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people now, if you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is age 67. Well, when you bring that up to somebody's attention, what do they say to you? Oh, I don't want to wait till 67 to collect. So there's rules you have to follow. You got to make sure once you lock yourself into a benefit that benefit benefits you, right? So we've got to make sure that you make the right selection because there's no going back.
The other thing I would say is that Social Security is probably going to be the biggest asset for most people over their lifetime in retirement. And the longer you wait, the bigger that check would be. And if you live longer, then guess what? It's probably going to be worth about $1 million for most people.
Wow. Yeah,
Okay.
so if you can, wait to collect Social Security until what?
It depends.
Yeah, it's going to depend. But one thing that people don't take into consideration, if you are married, right, your spouse might have to rely on Social Security as well once you pass on. Because instead of 2 Social Security checks, now it's only going to be 1. It'll be the higher benefit, but you know, you could lose $1,000, $2,000 a month just by doing so. So you've got to make sure that your selection, what you're going to do for Social Security, matches what your retirement plan looks like. So it's not about collecting as soon as possible, and it's not always about delaying it as long as
Interesting.
possible.
Okay.
And it also depends on that individual's health at that time, because all of
good
a sudden
point.
you might have some terminal illness, and that plays into the picture. So
Yeah.
you just can't say a blanket statement. You need to take it at 62 or 65 or 70.
Yeah.
It depends on that individual and what they're trying to do. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
That's why you professionals are so important because, I mean, I think everybody out on the street, you know, Jim and Joe and Jane, we don't know, right?
Yeah, so it's always going to be based off everybody's individual situation, right? Like my wife wants to live to 100 years old. Me, I want to live as long as I can with a good quality of life.
Yeah.
So if you live to age 100, you need to make sure that you've got a good benefit coming in until you reach age 100. If you collect it at 62, it might not be that way. But if you retire at 55 and you need income, maybe it would be better to go ahead and collect at 62. So it's always based off everybody's individual situation.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, there's so much to talk about here, so much to dive into. We have to take a break. But before we do, Tim, tell us about our special offer today.
All right, so the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 more for retirement, pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'll sit down with you in the office personally and create your very own retirement income strategies just for you. And Cheryl, the best part is we'll do it on a complimentary basis.
All right, so the phone lines are open if you would like some personal advice about retirement planning and more. Once again, call 833-897-4845 or take your cell phone and scan that QR code on the bottom of the screen. Coming up next, we will explain what annuities are and how they work. Stay with us.
Imagine the future you've been wanting all along. A world where your retirement income is covered and you don't have to worry. Your financial assets are protected, and you have an experienced team fighting every day to grow your assets. Imagine a company creating tax strategies and legacy plans to make sure your loved ones are protected no matter what happens. At Welcome Home Financial Partners, we're an experienced financial team with the right professional licenses and an unbreakable commitment to making our clients feel like family. Here you'll find determined, friendly faces in a world filled with obstacles and problems. We help plan your retirement income to ensure you won't run out of money in retirement. We build in protection to make sure your assets are covered on all sides. We focus on growing your wealth to combat inflation and rising cost of living. And we design tax strategies to help you avoid paying back what you shouldn't while protecting the people you love. Our team never stops fighting for you. With an unparalleled work ethic, we work hard because we know your future depends on it. We're proud to help you choose the life you want to live in retirement. Welcome to your financial future. We're so glad you're here.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. We're having some great conversation today. So guys, what can our viewers expect by being one of the first 10 callers on today's show?
So the first 10 callers, if they pick up the phone, we'll sit down with them in the office, what they should expect to receive from us. There's a little package that we send out to everybody once they call in. Have a little bit of homework in there, some information for them to bring for the first meeting. But we'll sit down with them at the office, and we will have a series of questions that we'll ask them, and we will go through what they want to do for retirement, what to expect in retirement, and then we formulate a plan to do so.
Nice. And if you want to find out what's inside that little box, you got to call in, and then you can have one and look inside it. I always like little boxes to find out what little secrets and prizes are in there. So guys, before the commercial, we talked about annuities. And annuities, they give some people the heebie-jeebies because they hear the word annuity, they don't know what it means, they don't know if they want it, and how they work and what types are available. So let's break it down.
Sure. So annuities, there's a wide gamut of annuities available, and anyone that's exploring annuities needs to take a look at what is available to them and make sure that they're working with someone that can explain them properly and present them with options that are going to fit their need. Now, if we look at an annuity inside of what we're talking about on this show, as far as a stable income throughout retirement and a diverse income throughout retirement, annuity might be a good solution there. At the core word of annuity, you're going to receive a series of payments. So there are products out there that we can help you utilize to set up a series of payments to give yourself a paycheck in retirement that can't go down because of an economic downturn, can't be mitigated because the company just decides they don't want to pay it. That's not how it works. So certainly annuities can be a great option for someone looking to secure a retirement income. That's what I'd say about that.
Well, we talked a lot about in the beginning of the show about Social Security. Social Security is an annuity, right? But just because you have an annuity doesn't mean that it's just going to be periodic payments to you, right? You can have protection from market, right? So there's a lot of different annuities out there, and they all work differently. Now, is it always going to be a fit for everybody? Possibly not. But there's a lot of people who have never looked into them before that it could really be a good benefit to them, because they have built up so much money, they want to protect it, either pass it on to their kids or grandkids, or they just want to make sure that it's there and they don't take any market loss. So every annuity is going to work a little bit different. You really need to sit down with a professional to discuss if that's an option for you.
And as fiduciaries, that's one of the things that we sit down with people and make sure they understand how it works, because it will work for most people, but for some people it will not work. So that's the reason that you need to understand how it works, why it's worked, what's the pros and what's the cons, because not everything is 100% perfect for everybody. It's just like if your husband was perfect for every woman in the world, you probably have a lot of competition.
Oh, I'd beat him out.
That's right. That is right. But the thing that you need to understand is how they work, and like Tim said, Social Security is a type of annuity, but it's been issued by the federal government, not by an insurance company in the private sector.
Okay. And you mentioned the term fiduciary. For those of us who don't know, explain what a fiduciary is.
Basically, a fiduciary is somebody that takes best interest of the client at heart instead of their own personal gain.
Okay.
But the thing that you need to understand is there's different licensing that you have to have in order to be a fiduciary.
Okay, and you guys are fiduciaries, yes, which is fabulous. And with annuities, though, I want to go back to annuities, because when I talk to people about annuities, they get a bad taste in their mouth and they say, oh, they're a bad reputation. Why do annuities have such a bad reputation?
Have you taken a look at the TV on the advertisements these days?
Is this why?
A lot of them will sit there and listen to somebody's spokesperson that does not sell them. They do not understand them. They're not going to gain anything from them. So they do things that they shouldn't say on TV or on advertisements, saying, oh, you know, it's bad for you just because.
What?
Yeah. And
I was at a conference and I met a gentleman that does not work with annuities, and I said that we do a little bit. They're part of our practice. And he goes, why would you ever let your client commit a nuicide?
Oh.
A play on the word suicide. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, well, once we put it into an annuity, more than likely I can't ever work with that money again, so I can't make money on it. Thus, my client has committed a nuicide. I said, that's just about the worst way in the world to talk about it or think about it. But you're working, at that point, you're not working as a fiduciary. You're working for yourself and your own paycheck. So a lot of bad taste comes from media and from other people in the financial sector.
Well, the biggest misconception with this is that nobody takes a look at your situation, right? You hear a lot of national people, they say, oh, annuities are bad, just put all your money in the market, we've got market cycles, you're always going to recoup what you've lost, right? So if a 20-year-old walked into the office, would we probably talk to them about an annuity? Probably not. But you always have to take a look at the individual and their situation and what they're trying to accomplish. Because if you're trying to double your money overnight, well, I can assure you that annuity is probably not going to be the trick. But if you want to have peace of mind, you're in stage 2 of your life, which is going to be your retirement years. You want to make sure that your money is working for you on top of being protected. That could be a good avenue.
Yeah, okay, so here's a question then. How is an annuity different than money you might just have in a savings account in the bank?
Well, up until the last couple of years, there was hardly any interest paid out by a bank.
Yeah.
Now, with the rise of interest rates, there is a little bit there, but still, you can probably make a little bit more outside of using the bank and still be protected from market loss.
And there's also tax advantages of an annuity
Really?
versus,
Yeah.
versus a bank, because
Oh.
any interest that you earn in a bank is, unless it's in a qualified account, is going to be taxable to you.
Yeah,
where an
and
annuity would not.
if you look at reinvesting, right? So if you've got a CD, it's short term. The way that the economy is working now, we never know what interest rates are going to do, right? So if interest rates, they skyrocketed, what if they plummet, right?
Right.
So if you have a 9-month CD and now the interest rates have plummet, you think they're going to renew that CD at 3-4% like they're doing now? Probably not. So if you're taking a look at having something safe long term where you still make a decent return when the market does well, we could talk about annuities.
Wow, so the annuities do depend on the market a little bit or no?
Some of them do, right?
Okay.
But this goes back to every annuity is going to work different, and it's going to be based off your situation, what you're trying to accomplish in your
Interesting.
goals.
All right, so much to talk about when it comes to annuities. So now I want to switch gears to life insurance, okay? Life insurance, can that be utilized as a part of a diversified retirement strategy?
It sure can be.
Okay.
And the reason that there's several things that you can do when it comes to life insurance. You can either use a certain amount of money and buy that most insurance that you can get, or you can stuff in as much money as you can for a life insurance policy so you can have more cash at the end of the thing. But the other thing with life insurance, particularly with people that are retired, that wants to pass on as much as they can to their kids or grandkids, you can utilize RMDs or your traditional IRAs, things like that, that money coming back to you to buy a life insurance policy so that when they pass on, the amount of the death benefit goes on to their beneficiaries, income tax free under current tax law. So those are things that you need to understand.
And
Life insurance is a great tool.
Yeah,
Okay.
the biggest thing I'd say with life insurance right now is I see a lot of life insurance marketed on television, direct to call us now and we'll put you in. Life insurance is not cookie cutter. No. You need to work with a financial professional to make sure you're buying the right vehicle. It has been established for you. You understand the parameters of payments, things like that. So anybody that's interested in life insurance and utilizing it to either pass on an estate, to possibly use it for withdrawals for their own retirement, they need to be working with a financial professional, not an AI robot that you call and it just spits out a plan.
No, we don't want robots. I mean, robots are good for some things, but not in this case because it's not cookie cutter.
Yeah, and Scott brings up a good point. I always look at life insurance as a Swiss Army knife, right? So it can do so many different things. And we've already talked about a couple of them right now, but people look at college savings, right?
Oh
Everybody
my
focuses
gosh.
on a 529. 529s are great, but they can be very restrictive as well, too. So if you don't follow the rules to a T, you're going to be penalized. So that's why we kind of introduce life insurance, and people don't realize it because anytime you talk about life insurance, everybody's like, I don't want to die. Well, I hate to break it to you, we're all going to die at some point, we just don't know when. So you're always going to get a benefit from life insurance. There's living benefits and then there's a death benefit. So if you don't use it while you're alive, your beneficiaries will use it when you pass. And
Goodness,
like
yeah.
Ralph says, it's income tax free.
Absolutely. And guys, we got to take a break here, but one more time, that special offer.
Yeah, the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 more for retirement, pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'll sit down with you personally in the office and we'll create your very own retirement income plan just for you. Cheryl, the best part is we'll do it on a complimentary basis.
All right, and keep those questions coming. Scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen as well. Coming up next, we will feature some of your burning questions. Stay right there.
It was the longest running bull market in history. Everything was looking up. While inverted yield curves pointed to a recession, the market kept going. And then, if you're planning to retire soon, that could spell bad news for your returns. Our team can help you better withstand the bear market. Now more than ever, you need a financial professional to stand with you. Visit our website to learn more about our services. You can call or email our office to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. It's our favorite part of the show. Time to feature some of your burning questions. Let's get right to it. Matt from Mechanicsville says, I want a relaxing retirement. Really, all I want is to spend time with my wife and our grandkids. How can I be sure I have enough money to make this happen? I think this is what all of us want.
I got a really easy response from Matt. We can make this happen for you, I think, but you've got to call us. You've got to call a financial professional, set up a time to sit down, go through the retirement roadmap process. What that will generate for you is a spreadsheet and a document that shows you exactly how long your money's going to last with the lifestyle you want to lead. And we'd love to do that for you, Matt.
I like how you make it sound so simple.
It's easy.
Easy for you.
And a convenient thing too, him being in Mechanicsville, we've got an office located in Ashland, so it's very convenient for him.
Where are your offices again?
So we've got one in Ashland, we've got one in North Chesterfield, and then we've got one in Chester.
Nice. Okay. So lots of places to meet you guys. Good stuff. Next is Doug in Richmond. And Doug says, I've had plenty of rental properties for 30 plus years. I'm now 69 years old and I want to get out. Is there anything specific I need to look out for?
Taxes, taxes, taxes.
Oh.
So all of a sudden, when you start selling that property as rental properties, now you're going to have to start thinking about the tax situation, and that income that you were going to rely on may change a little bit, because now you've got to pay, if you got to pay mortgages off, you've got to pay Uncle Sam his unfair share, may I say, but still it's that share that he expects from you. So those are just some things that we sit down and talk with people about, is how can you maybe delay that capital gains taxation. There are ways that you can do that, but a lot of people don't understand how to do that. So that's why you need to talk to somebody a little bit more in detail about it.
Yeah, and that takes a team approach with the capital gains and selling the rental properties. But we deal with a lot of people that have rental properties in this area, and they have focused in on that. And sometimes that's all their retirement is, just the rental properties. People don't realize that's a job, right? So you are on call 24/7 no matter what happens. So a lot of people, when they ask about investing in rentals, sometimes rentals aren't a bad thing, but you do have to realize that that's not just a set it and forget it. That is, hey, you're picking up the phone call at 1 o'clock in the morning because the heater went out. Something to that effect. So you've got to make sure that you're up for that.
Okay, that's good to know as well. I know a lot of people who have invested in rental properties, so that's good to know. Lily from Amelia says, I want to see my savings grow, but I absolutely do not want to take a loss. What solutions are out there, specifically if I do not need any income from these investments and I want to leave the majority to my kids and grandkids?
Well, Lily, there's a lot of solutions out there, but we need to get a little bit more specific with you. We need to sit down and take a look. We talked about annuities earlier. That could be a good solution to help it grow, but it wouldn't be the best solution to possibly leave it to your grandchildren.
It wouldn't?
Could be. There's ways, some things we could do. Now, what if it's not qualified money? Then we could talk about life insurance, and definitely that could be a solution to grow that asset or leverage that asset and leave it to the grandchildren in a very beneficial way. So for Lily, I love where your heart is. I love that you're asking these questions, but we need to sit down and take a little closer look at your specific situation.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, if it's after-tax money, it's a little different. But what if all of her money is in IRAs, right? If you want to leave it to your grandkids, the government passed the Secure Act back in 2020, and if they get, let's just say $1 million in an IRA, they're going to have to go through that in a 10-year period. So there's going to be things, we talk to people a lot, and we have to do what we have to do for the government, taxes, what have you. You've got to make sure that they don't have their hands on it once you pass away. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I pass my money on to my kids or my wife, if she outlives me, I want to make sure that the government doesn't have their hands on it anymore. So life insurance is a really good tool to use for that.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that they would be minimized their hands on it, because they're going to get their hands on it. Now the best thing to do is try to minimize that effect on your investments, because guess what? Did they come at 5 o'clock in the morning and wake you up for you to go to work? No, they just have their hands out, so just understand that part.
Oh, no, it sounds so awful when you say it that way. They've got their hands out, but it's true.
Yeah, you want to have more control with what you pass on. And in order to do that, you have to plan properly for it.
Okay. Gina from Fredericksburg says, you talked about earlier in the show taxes and retirement. I have all my money in a 401k and I'm concerned about the taxes on that large pot of money. Are there options for me to get rid of taxes or lessen them? I wish we could get rid of them.
We all would wish that we could get rid of them,
Yes.
but there's ways to lessen them, but not to get rid of them, particularly if they're all pre-tax money. So all of a sudden now what we have to do is figure out how's the best way to get the money back to you and figure out that. So there are ways of doing it. Some Roth conversion, but understand with Roth conversions, that means that the money you take out of Roth is tax-free, okay? However, when it goes in, you're going to have to pay the taxes on
Right.
that. So we sit down with people and explain it because you hear a lot about everybody wants that tax-free income, but guess what? There's not going to get away from taxes. You're going to have to pay them up front,
Ugh.
okay?
Yeah. All right. One more. Robert in Mosley says, I hear speculation that Social Security is going bankrupt and I'm afraid I will lose out. Is this true?
Well, there's a lot of naysayers out there. We hear the noise all the time. You know, what's your thoughts on Social Security? We don't know. We have zero control over that, right? So what we've got to focus in on to make sure that your retirement years are as golden as they're supposed to be is that you well diversify your income streams from your assets. And then anything that Social Security does for you is just gravy on top. But to rely just on Social Security or half of your income off Social Security might not be the best solution.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we wrap up for the day, let's talk about our special offer one more time, Tim.
All right, Cheryl. So the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 or more for retirement, pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd love for you to come into the office where we'll sit down with you personally and create these retirement income strategies just for you. And Cheryl, best part is we do it on a complimentary basis.
All righty, guys. Thank you so much for today once again, and thank you for joining us today on Aspire to Retire. Next time, we will discuss retirement pitfalls that you will want to avoid. So if you'd like some advice, once again, call us now at 833-897-4845 or take your cell phone and scan that QR code on the bottom of your screen, and you could be featured on our next episode. On behalf of all of us at Aspire to Retire, I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. Have a great day.